Good afternoon everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 4th edition of Griffith Uni News for 2012. I'm your host, Stephanie Bidgen, and let me introduce to you my awesome panel of guests. First, we have Catherine and Courtney, and on my left, we have Stephanie and Kiralee. How's it going today, guys?
Good.
Thanks. Not
Good.
bad.
It's good to be here.
Today we'll be discussing the latest hot topics, but first let's take a look at what's happening around the country. Here's Cherie with the latest news.
Thanks for that, guys. With the latest news, I'm Cherie Salt. City Council has splashed out $1.7 million towards the controversial cruise ship terminal just days after many councillors stated that they were undecided whether they wanted the development to go ahead. $745,000 will be spent on the tender process, plus a further $924,000 to be spent investigating a preferred location. A 26-year-old man is recovering from an apparent gunshot wound to his thigh after presenting himself to Gold Coast Hospital last night. It is still unclear as to how and at what location the man sustained the injury, police said in a statement this morning. He has since been released. A 14-year-old girl has been charged with attempted murder following an alleged poisoning incident on Brisbane's southwest. Police say the teenager attempted to poison two children aged 12 and 13 with a poison-laced brownie at Richlands yesterday. The girl has since been granted bail and is likely to be dealt with under provisions of the Youth Justice Act. Radio shock jock Alan Jones has been given a taste of his own medicine by an online social media campaign encouraging sponsors to leave his program. Opposition communications spokesperson Malcolm Turnbull said on Monday that the radio host had not been the victim of cyberbullying. Social media has just allowed thousands of Australians to speak up. 2GB has temporarily suspended all advertising on Jones's show. The number of women diagnosed with breast cancer each year is expected to rise by more than 17,000 by the year 2020. Anne Beck from the Australian Institute of Health, Welfare and Cancer says that the country's survival rates are improving, but the ageing population is to blame. Thanks for that, guys. Now over to you in the studio. Desmond will be back with more news later in the show.
Thanks for that, Cherie. So the Gold Coast City Council has splashed out $1.7 million towards a cruise ship terminal less than a week after councillors revealed support for the project was not a done deal. The decision was made behind closed doors at a special budget meeting this morning, and it's the biggest spend on the controversial project to date. What do you guys think? Is this a justified project to spend taxpayers' money on such, a big thing?
I think the amount of money that's being spent on this so-called plan is a bit frivolous. I mean, what has been revealed is that over $900,000 worth of taxpayers' money is going towards just investigating the council's preferred location of the cruise ship terminal. And over $800,000 is also going to be towards, choosing the actual company that's going to be building the terminal. I mean, that's a lot of money. How is that justified with, taxpayers' hard-earned money and rates?
And I think you'll find a lot of the taxpayers don't actually want this to go ahead. I mean, for years we've been seeing stickers on the back of cars saying "Save our spit," due to proposals such as this one. So I don't think there's that much support for it.
But I think another thing to consider is the economic benefits of this. I mean, if it's providing jobs for people on the Gold Coast, surely that's got to be a benefit, for the people on the Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast is constantly growing. We've got the light rail in 2014, we've got Chinatown in 2014. So I kind of think this is all kind of beneficial for the tourism of the Gold Coast in the long run, the jobs it's going to bring in, the economy it's going to bring in. I think there's a fair few benefits of this as well.
But then again, there were councillors discussing sort of dredging and environmental impacts that it would have. So where do you draw the line?
As a local, I personally wouldn't want to see a cruise ship terminal here. I think, there's huge environmental damage that can be done, marine life and everything, and just the sheer amount of waste that's generated from this. And it will attract tourism, but a lot of those tourists are coming into Gold Coast. When you're a tourist, you come into a place and you know that you don't live there. So I just think there could be a lot of consequences, and it's something that requires a lot of planning.
Definitely. Well, we'll be right back after the break.
Being the managing director of an events management business and working with clients like Lady Gaga and Guns N' Roses isn't all rock and roll. There's serious decisions that need to be made. I've got to know what I'm doing. The first place I learnt the power of knowledge was Griffith University. Griffith taught me how to apply what I know to the big picture and the big issues. I know how to find ways to keep the show on the road. Well, guess my job is a bit rock and roll then, isn't it? Griffith University. When you know more, you can do more.
Welcome back to Griffith Uni News. Lady Gaga has vomited 3 times while on stage in Barcelona performing her hit song Edge of Glory on Saturday. The 26-year-old star took to Twitter after the show with a sense of humour, saying that it's a good laugh if the fans ever needed one. Let's take a look at some of the footage. We have it here. Now that's
There
her
she goes.
walking down the stairs.
So she was already vomiting then, before she's even really begun.
What, she was sick
Did she
before
vomit
walked
then?
out?
Well, here's, I think there's the first one.
There's the second
There's
one.
the first one.
She just went straight into it.
The backup
vomit
dancer
one
does
there.
actually quite a good job of concealing.
He is so distracting. Look at those moves.
If there was any time for her to do it, I think now is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at, we've also seen Justin Bieber throw up this week as well.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a backup dancer to
Yeah,
cover
he
him
just
like that.
ran out.
He
ran
ran
out
off.
on stage.
Ran off stage.
Yeah.
What was better,
Lady
running off
Gaga.
or staying on though? What was the better situation?
Well, I think Lady Gaga displayed a lot of character and you know, trying to cover it up
She did
and
well.
keep singing,
Yeah.
and I think it's quite a talent to be able to do that.
Do you think these pop stars are being worked too hard at all?
No.
Oh, well,
I think
There
it's
could be a
just
number of
adrenaline,
reasons, couldn't it? You know?
a lot of stress. You know, the stress of being on stage.
The amount that they perform, the shows
amount,
that they
you know,
do.
they're singing so loudly. They're putting so much voice and breath into these.
That was another thing I saw in some of the YouTube videos of Justin Bieber. Some people saying, "Oh, he's lip syncing."
yeah. What is the go with that? I mean, was the song still playing when she was vomiting? You know?
Sure, I think we should take another look. But
Quite
if they
entertaining
are
for it.
being worked too hard, great. I mean, how much do they earn? Seriously, it's probably a good thing.
That time.
That's true. But then again, it could have been a publicity stunt. You never know.
Oh, I don't know. You can write a few things off as a
You could.
One.
It's a bit of a gross publicity stunt.
Yeah,
But isn't it odd though that, I mean, this has happened to 2 pop stars?
Yeah.
You know,
Within
in
a
the
week.
last week. I
And,
mean,
and Aussies,
you know.
it's crunch time for students at the moment, and where I feel a bit sick, can't handle an assignment.
Yeah.
But all these stars are throwing up on stage
In front
and
of
still
so
performing.
many people as
Yeah.
well. Like, can you imagine? That's why it's probably good that both of them have had this issue this week, because it would be really embarrassing. So at least they can say that they're not the only one. And poor little Justin Bieber, he's so young.
Little
That's
Justin
probably why
Bieber.
he's run off. He's just humiliated and not sure what to do. Maybe experience or something
He
like
was
that will
front-
teach him.
Front center. She was at least behind
Yeah.
the backup dancer.
Yeah, that's
She was completely covered, and he was pulling out some insane moves.
I think she's handled it really well though. Like, she's tweeted saying, at least everyone got a good laugh, which I think that's a really good way to handle this situation.
Definitely.
I mean, I personally would be really embarrassed by that, but I mean, to tell everyone
show
to have a
goes
laugh
on.
about it, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
All right, well, we'll be right back after the break.
What I've learned about myself and about my sport is the reason why I won gold at the Athens Olympics. And the first place I learned the power of knowledge was through my Griffith Sports Scholarship. Today, my knowledge is why athletes come to me for coaching, and it's why I'm commentator at the SBS National Road Series. It's safe to say that what I know, and a bit of hard work, have always kept me in front. Griffith University. When you know more, you can do more.
Welcome back to Griffith Uni News. Now here's Desma with the latest news headlines.
Thanks for that, guys. With the second news edition, I'm Desma Artman. Australian skydiver and extreme athlete Felix Baumgartner is planning the highest and fastest freefall in history. If he survives his attempt today, the man, dubbed Fearless Felix, could be the first skydiver to break the sound barrier. And a Florida man died after winning a bug-eating contest that saw him consume dozens of bugs cockroaches and worms. The 32-year-old threw up and collapsed shortly after his win. He was later pronounced dead by the local sheriff's office. Scientists from Britain and Japan shared the Nobel Prize in Medicine on Monday for the discovery that adult cells can be reprogrammed back into stem cells, which can turn into any kind of tissue and may one day repair damaged organs. The big hope is that this technology can be used to replace damaged tissues in everything from spinal cord injuries to Parkinson's disease. And now for the latest in entertainment. Actress Mila Kunis has been dubbed the sexiest woman alive by Esquire magazine. Kunis, 29, was lauded by the men's magazine on its website as the most beautiful, opinionated, talkative and funny movie star. Lady Gaga has told fans to have a good laugh after she vomited on stage during a concert in Barcelona. The 26-year-old threw up 3 times on stage, but somehow managed to finish her routine. She took to Twitter following the performance to joke about it. Queen of television Oprah Winfrey says she's not ready to buy into reports of Chris Brown and Rihanna reuniting, despite the pair being seen together at a Jay-Z concert. Oprah has backflipped on her hardline stance against the union and has now come out saying she has no judgment in the matter. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Desma. Well, a New Zealand woman says she has been humiliated after wrongly being accused by a flight attendant of being pregnant. A 70-kilogram Kelsey Hughes was asked to produce a medical certificate allowing her to fly while waiting to board her flight from Wellington to Christchurch after staff thought she was over 28 weeks pregnant. A Jetstar spokesperson later apologised for any embarrassment caused to Mrs. Hughes. This is actually my worst fear realised. I would be mortified, if I was congratulating someone on their pregnancy, just to find out that they hadn't, in fact, been expecting. What do you guys think about this?
I think this is funny.
Of worms.
I think it's an embarrassing situation, but is it newsworthy?
Yeah.
I think she's milking it a little bit. I think she's trying to get her 2 cents out of it, really.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, 70 kilos though. I mean, that's not that heavy.
It's not much heavier than us,
Quite
really.
light.
Yeah. But I guess everyone has their days. I'm assuming there must have been something that coaxed this lady to ask.
Exactly.
I think it was a gentleman who asked.
Oh.
I don't know, is that
Probably made it
worse, do you
worse.
think?
But men don't think. So
Yeah, that's true. Well, he was probably trying to, cover his, own figurative ass when it comes to, the legality of it. Because if she gets caught flying over 28 weeks pregnant, it just has a whole lot of legal implications. It's dangerous.
Yeah,
child.
exactly.
I mean, at 70 kilos, do you really look, 28 weeks pregnant?
But she must have looked somewhat pregnant for him to even ask, because what was his motive for making a fool of her in front of all those people if he didn't really think she was? Obviously there was some reason that he asked, and he was just trying to do his job, I think.
But so if that's the case, then everyone, the rise of obesity in Australia at the moment, there's a greater influence, of people with apple-shaped, the apple-shaped bodies.
Everyone's
Does that mean
got
that
their
everyone
bloated
with a bit of a bloated belly is going to get asked if they're pregnant and to produce a medical certificate when they fly?
Actually, one of my friends, she is quite larger. She went out to buy sushi and she actually had a woman come up to her and say, "You're pregnant, you can't eat fish, you can't eat fish." And she was almost in tears leaving. She was just devastated.
I think that's out of line, because it's none of her business. But whereas she's catching a plane, it is his business. I think.
As I said, there's legal issues there, and they have to. And it probably is good that they are being asked, because they don't have the equipment or anything to deal with that in air. So.
And what if he didn't ask? What if he didn't ask because he wasn't sure, and then something happened? On the other
exactly.
side? How much trouble would they be
Exactly.
in?
Yeah.
So I guess the issue is, how do you go about it? And you mentioned she was asked in front of so many people. I mean, maybe that's the issue there as well.
Yeah.
But I suppose if you're going to ask somebody to step aside to ask them that, then that's probably worse as well, because it shows that you're not sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know, there's a few issues there.
Okay, let's cross to Lisa, who has the latest weather.
Thanks for that, guys. Well, after a scorching hot weekend, we're finally in for a cooler change. Today we're looking at a top of only 26 degrees on the coast and getting down to a cool of 16 this evening. A bit of scattered showers and cloud about, but nothing to write home about. Taking a quick look at the weather forecast for the week now, looking fine for Wednesday, but we should expect heavy rain for Thursday with an even cooler drop down to 21 degrees. It'll be sunny for Friday, but unfortunately it's looking like a wet weekend ahead. A quick update on the surf for all you wax heads out there. It's a little inconsistent with only 2 to 3 foot waves on most beaches. Guess we can't complain too much. It's the last few weeks of uni and the wet weather will make it a lot easier being stuck inside studying. That's it for the weather now. Back to you, Steph.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me, guys. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook or tune in to our YouTube if you've missed an episode. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time. We're Griffith Uni News. Good night.